Modesto's Martin Luther King commemoration has a long history. For the past 27 years, we've hosted some amazing civil rights speakers right here in Modesto. Every year, these speakers regale us with wisdom, history, modern application, and always a bit of humor. This year, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we present this very special program like no other in the history of our event. Yes, this year is different, but some things are still the same. I'm Judge Ruben Villalobos, and I'm still your host. In this time together, we will look back on some of the inspirational speakers we've had the privilege of meeting and hearing on the Modesto Junior College auditorium stage. Some of them, sadly, are no longer with us. Yolanda King, Martin Luther King Jr.'s daughter. The Good Trouble Congressman, John Lewis, who joined us not long after losing his wife because it was important for him to share his message with us. We even have a clip from beloved Maya Angelou, who spoke to a standing room only audience in the MJC Gymnasium in 2001. This year has been a year of coming together as a community, even though we are physically distanced. In that spirit, we will feature some unsung heroes in our community. People who are doing good things for others and not expecting any recognition. You will experience the premier poetry from two renowned local poets, Gillian Wegener and the ninja poet Sam Piersdorf. You will hear inspirational music performed by talented musicians, and you will experience graceful dance. Later in the program, you will witness the presentation of the annual Martin Luther King Legacy Award to a community member who exemplifies the spirit of I Have a Dream. As we relive our past speakers and meet new friends, I ask that you think about what gift you can take from each of them, a gift that you can then pass on to others. For many of us, a year ago at this celebration was the last time we were in a big auditorium, greeting friends and setting into a night of learning. Let's start now where we left off then with our 2020 speaker, Dr. Harry Edwards.
The year 2020 marks the 26th year Modesto has hosted distinguished speakers in commemoration of the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This year, our speaker is Dr. Harry Edwards.
The 1968 Olympic trials set the stage for the most dramatic political protest in modern sports history. Black athletes debated the form their protest would take. San Jose State professor Harry Edwards called for a boycott of the games in Mexico City.
It became very, very clear that sport was much like the rest of society, the same kinds of limitations, the same kinds of ideological assumptions, the same kinds of constraints on opportunity and on virtually every other dimension of black life that you found in the rest of society.
I absolutely support this boycott. And not only do I speak for Martin Luther King, but I speak as president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, so it means that this boycott has the absolute support of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. This is a protest and a struggle against racism and injustice, and this is what we are working to eliminate in our organization and in our total struggle.
Now John Irvin will tell us about our local African-American theater group, Sankofa Theater.
Sankofa Theater Company, labor of love between four individuals who, after doing To Kill a Mockingbird, continue to bring the stories of African Americans to light in our community, even the good, bad, and the ugly. You know, we wanted people to understand our culture through the arts, through the performing arts. Reach back into your past. You know, take what was good, learn from your past, and bring what's good forward. You know, it's been an amazing journey. to say the least. We just did Hitchhiker. That was virtual, but then opened us up to another avenue for a theater. We're just so thrilled to be able to bring the African American experience to our community.
We'll now hear from Dan Honorato, one of the founders of the Peace Life Center.
Hello, my name is Dan Honorato. I've worked with the Modesto Peace Life Center since it started in 1970. Through social justice and peace efforts, in his case, the civil rights movement, and on a more personal level through acts of kindness by unsung heroes or other people who are involved in the arts or in any kind of sharing of their talent with the community. They do it because they want to fulfill themselves, but also enrich others. And that enrichment of others is the way we bridge the gap between one another. We create the beloved community. It's in those small things that by themselves don't mean a great deal, but put together, and we begin to shorten the distance between peoples. And at our time, bridging that gap, finding a middle, holding people with respect, even if we disagree about things, respecting them, that helps create the beloved community.
Now, Michael Jackson and Enoch Walker will tell us about how Project Uplift inspired them and how in turn they're helping others.
Project Uplift was a transformational experience for me. As a young child, I was raised by my grandparents, low income, doing the best they could to raise their grandchildren. And Project Uplift was my first exposure to something different. Project Uplift gave me the opportunity to learn more about higher education. I was able to connect with positive male role models, to see other successful African American men serving their communities, leading, being the men of their home and the leaders of their community was exceptional for me. I try to model that, and even today, my career allows me to serve in a capacity such as that. And so I serve now as a mentor, as a counselor, right here at MJC Veteran Services. And I know it would not have been possible without the assistance of mentors like Mr. John Irvin and others that have given selflessly to our community.
Hello, my name is Enoch Walker, Project Uplift mentor, former mentee, and how Project Uplift has affected my life. Growing up as a young boy in a single parent household, I didn't really feel like I had a lot of opportunities to advance myself. I had a hard time struggling in school, staying focused, and just in general didn't really have a positive outlook in life. But Project Uplift helped me to build up confidence, learn how to be a true gentleman, and also helped me set goals to strive for in education, life, and just in general. And I would say Project Uplift was a tremendous big step in my life.
Now we'll hear from Gillian Wegner as she reads us her poem.
The problem with the world is that we've forgotten that we belong to each other. A quote attributed to Mother Teresa. In this year, like no other, we've tallied the hardships, so many losses, so much fear, the loneliness, the wrenching anger, a strange reaction, all we've known turning from solid to liquid, then gas, then solid again around us. I am here to remind you we belong to each other, and though the year is a collection of despairs that will take time to heal, you are not alone in your healing. You are not alone. And soon there will be music in the park. Soon we'll be together. I am here to remind you that we belong to each other. And there is still baseball, and there is laughter from a joke that was only a little funny, and the trees are blooming, and there's the yells of kids playing in their yard, and it rained overnight, and the dog's avoiding puddles as if she's wearing fancy shoes. I'm here to remind you we belong to each other, And this means we all belong to each other, those we know and those we don't. The man without shoes or socks in the cold, the child with no jacket in the rain, the family, newly arrived, unsheltered and hungry. There is still work for all of us to do. I am here to remind you that we belong to each other. Where fires have been, we will plant new trees. Where grief has taken hold, we will seed comfort. Where differences of opinion exist, we will listen. And where justice is needed, which is everywhere, we will act for justice until there is justice. I am here to remind you there is still chocolate, and there is still poetry, and there is still love, and there is still work to do. And we are still here. And though we sometimes forget, flawed beings that we are, we belong to each other.
Race is such a two-faced Janus. On the one hand, it makes people nervous. On the other hand, it is the gateway to great discovery, because it is the key to how we live out our principles or don't live out our principles all through American history. And so, to me, the key thing is kind of building up your incentive and your comfort to be uncomfortable, to push across boundaries. And that once you do that, you get hooked on the sense of discovery, because you'll constantly be finding things that you didn't know. I want people in my writing to have a sense of wonder at its best, that this was going on behind the scenes of something that I thought that I knew about, so that there's a sense of discovery there.
Now, Wes Page will introduce us to our first unsung hero. Take it away, Wes.
Thank you, Ruben. Our community has a lot of unsung heroes, people who are selflessly doing good things for others without receiving or even seeking recognition. I would like to recognize some individuals whom I consider unsung heroes. Shortly after the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, Debbie Partridge found a way to deal with her anxiety in a most unique and generous way. Debbie began making masks. She didn't make the masks to sell. She made them to give away free of charge to frontline healthcare workers, postal workers, and just about anybody who needed a mask. At her own expense, Debbie has provided over 1,000 expertly crafted masks. Debbie feels that if her masks save just one human life, her effort is well worth it.
Thank you so much, Debbie Partridge.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you, Debbie.
Now, the ninja poet, Sam Piersdorf, will share an original poem.
This poem's called Shine, and it begins with an epigraph by Martin Luther King Jr. Every man must decide whether he will walk in the light of creative altruism or in the darkness of destructive selfishness. Some poems don't want to be mysterious. They want to be clear. They want to be so transparent you can see that the poem has nothing to hide. People are like this too. My favorite kind of people. People so translucent that the light inside their bodies comes through in every word, in every deed, in every fist bump or high five. We can see past their sunglasses, past their suits, past their skin, their scars, their muddy boots, past the sore cage inside their chest that protects their heart from all the beatings it has felt over the years. This is the problem with carrying too much light. People will want to burn you out. Every day it feels like a riot inside our chests. Sometimes it's too much to hold on to. Sometimes we burst. This world is spinning too slowly for some, too quickly for others, and the rest of us are just trying to hold on, trying to pay rent, trying to give to our children what we could never get, and that is where we shine the light, where our hearts align, where we build a city that uses kindness as its currency and paves the roads with equality. And I know some people will think that's a silly idea, but look at all these potholes we got now. The streets are broken, so no one is getting anywhere alone. Common ground is a very bumpy road, but if we travel together, if we unpack our biases and pack liquor-sized bottles of love, and everyone promises to bring their own light, then even in the darkness, we will find our way.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
Longevity has its place, but I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will.
We believe in a religion that has as its symbol a cross, and that the cross is the pathway to a resurrection and a crown. What Dr. King used to say all the time, he probably got from Dr. Mays. But he'd say, you know, you're going to die, and you don't have anything to say about it. You can't say when you're going to die. You can't say how you're going to die. The only choice you have is what are you going to die for? And the only way you can make that choice is by living for something that you believe in so much that you don't mind giving your life for it. And I think that's the reason Martin Luther King went to Memphis, because he wanted to be, I think he probably felt that death was near. And he wanted to be identified with the least of these God's children. He left New York when he was exhausted. And we were supposed to go to Washington next day. He said, no, I've got to go to Memphis. And I think there were two things. One was, this is what he wanted to live and die for. But the other was, he didn't want to be like the priest and Levite that were too busy to stop and see about the man by the side of the road. And he felt as though he needed to go to Memphis to work with the garbage workers. And that's what he gave his life for.
We'll now hear from Blanca Lopez from the Valley Improvement Project with 3 youth who participated in the Environmental Justice Youth Academy.
Hi, I'm Bianca Lopez, co-founder of Valley Improvement Projects. And Valley Improvement Projects was founded in 2012. We've been doing a lot of great work here in Stanislaus County. One of our projects is the Youth Academy for Environmental Justice. And today we are highlighting all the great work the youth are doing. Mostly they're staying informed and they are listening to what are the needs in our community so that they know how to act. We are very excited to have them. We had 12 participants and today you'll get to hear from 3 of them.
The reason why I participated was to learn and listen about what environmental justice is and how it relates to our community.
I really like it because we get to learn about like the air pollution and water pollution and everything that you don't really think about in daily life and how it just impacts everybody.
In this academy, we learn about environmental and social justices. It's quite interesting, and learning about the environment and how it affects our population is very important to our society.
Next, Richard Anderson will share with us his passion for filmmaking. He'll explain how his documentary, Homeless in Modesto, came to be.
I'm Richard Anderson, and I'd like to tell you a few things that I've been doing at the Peace Life Center. I'm passionate about creating videos documenting civic issues. My making of the Homeless in Modesto documentary with the Peace Life Center. Eric's been working with the homeless nearly a decade now, writing several homeless pieces as well as on so many other civic topics. We showed the homeless movie at MJC, and then the State Theater, at the Gallo, and at CSU Stanislaus. For each showing, we had a panel of a homeless man and a variety of civic figures who would discuss the movie afterwards with the viewers. And at the State, we had over 300 people in the audience stay for the Q&A. We earned $3,330 that all went to the group called Family Promise. And they were the only group at the time that housed families that had children. And it was a real success.
We come a long way from where we've started from. Yet things are not perfect. We must stand as one. We must embrace change. It's time that we start to be the light of hope and share the dream to everyone. It's time to reach out. It's time to grab hold to make a difference in the world we call our home. It's time for unity to live in perfect harmony. And then one day the dream will be complete.
Boarding that Greyhound bus to travel through the heart of the Deep South, I felt good. I felt happy. I felt liberated. I was like a soldier in a nonviolent army. I was ready. When we arrived at the city limit of Birmingham, Bull Connor let the regular passenger get off the bus. He kept us on the bus. Then he ordered the local police officials to place newspaper, cardboards, to cover all of the windows. They wanted to make it difficult for the media to get word out. We got to the state line of Tennessee, the state line of Alabama. He said, I'm letting you off here. We didn't know what was going to happen. The last thing I recall, standing with Jim Spurd, I was hit in the head with a wooden crate.
We have taken action in the government to try to end segregation in all of these facilities.
And our task, our obligation, is to make that revolution, that change, peaceful and constructive for all. Those who do nothing are inviting shame as well as violence. Those who act boldly are recognizing right as well as reality.
People rejoice. People express a sense of relief and happiness because they knew that the federal government has spoken from Washington. They knew that for the first time, the Kennedy administration, President Kennedy, his brother Robert Kennedy, had identified with their side, at the side of civil rights. The people that took a seat on these buses, that went to jail in Jackson, that went to Parchment, they were never the same. We had moments there to learn, to teach each other the way of nonviolence, the way of love, the way of peace, the Freedom Ride created an unbelievable sense, yes, we will make it, yes, we will survive, and that nothing but nothing was going to stop this movement.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Congressman John Lewis.
Dr. King inspired me to stand up. He inspired me to fight for what was right and fair and just. If it hadn't been for Martin Luther King Jr., I don't know where I would be as an individual. I wouldn't be in the Congress. I don't know where America would be. As we commemorate the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln signing the Emancipation Proclamation, and we say he freed the slave, and we celebrate and commemorate the 50th anniversary of Martin Luther King Jr. delivering his I Have a Dream speech. I have to say maybe Abraham Lincoln freed the slave, but Martin Luther King Jr. liberated a nation.
We've come a long way in America because of Martin Luther King Jr.
He led a disciplined, nonviolent revolution under the rule of law.
A revolution of ideas.
We've come a long way.
But we still have a distance to go.
Before all of our citizens embrace the ideal of a truly interracial democracy.
What I like to call the beloved community.
A nation at peace with itself.
Now we'll hear from Megan Lowry, Director of Cradle to Career Partnership.
Thank you, Ruben. My name is Megan Lowry, and I have the privilege of serving as the Director for the Stanislaus Cradle to Career Partnership. Well, we're focused on outcomes from cradle to career, ensuring that every child is kindergarten ready, reading at grade level, successful in math, able to go to college and successfully complete a degree, and ultimately earn a sustainable wage in a living career here in Stanislaus County. What we're most excited about right now is the work we're doing around youth empowerment. We know that in order to affect change in individuals' lives, we have to involve youth in the decision making, in what those changes look like, and we have to give them the power to serve on boards, to have a voice in their communities. And we can do that by coming together, aligning our partnerships, our organizations, our nonprofits, and that's exactly what we're doing.
Now welcome Joe Homer and Aaron Black of the Shire Arts Collective.
Hi there, I'm Joe Homer. I'm the current chair of the Shire Arts Collective. We're a local arts and music nonprofit. We've been operating in the Modesto area now for, 5 years. We've changed a lot over time. We had humble beginnings on Oak Shire, Modesto. Andrew Cardosa and Theo Souza started the Shire and had a number of shows in their backyard and in their garage. They also held arts workshops, gardening workshops, a number of fun things just to build community. It's very important to us. It's crucial for us that we give a platform for local artists and musicians to do their work, to promote their work. In addition to creating a space for people to enjoy arts and music. We know it's hard in a place like Modesto to, especially if you're an upcoming artist, upcoming musician, to get an audience.
Hi, my name is Aaron Black. I am the Secretary of the Board of the Shire Arts Collective. I've been working with the Shire for a little over a year now, and what I really love about the work we do is connection and community between artists. All of the projects with which I am involved have been solely to benefit that connection and building connection and building spaces for people to be creative and like love themselves and love each other and just be communal in the purest sense.
We'll now hear from Fallon Ferris, Program Manager, Stanislaus County Youth Empowerment.
My name is Fallon Ferris, and I am the Program Manager of the Stanislaus County Youth Empowerment Program. We are a new organization that started last year, 2020, after all of the rioting and things were going on. We've realized and known for a while that there was a need to close the achievement gaps for students of color compared to other additional students. One major thing that we had to realize was imagining a prosperous future for Stanislaus County to us was impossible without the voice of the youth. YEP has one major goal: to ensure the academic and professional success of all of our youth. And that is no matter what shape, color, race, background. We want to make sure that all of our youth in Stanislaus County are successful.
Now we will hear Hold On, sung by Shantavia, accompanied by Glenn Stovall. Choreography and dance is by Kenya Clement, video by Wes Page.
How do you stop the pain? And how do you move on when you're scared to take a chance? When the world seems so far away and you've lost which way to go, just call on Him, He'll be there. Please hold on, He hears your cry and He feels your pain. Hold on, just give it to Him and stop the rain. No matter what's going on, He will see you through. You gotta have faith, and He will see you through. Too many tears you've cried, hoping to ease your mind, and the pain and smile you give to hide the scars from deep within. So many times you've tried and failed, and it seems you just can't win. No matter what, don't give up. Please hold on. He hears your cry and He feels your pain. Hold on, just give it to Him and He'll stop the rain. No matter what's going on, He will see you through. You gotta have faith, and He will see you through.
Now, Jim Costello, the General Manager of KCPB Radio, will explain how the Peace Life Center brought the station into being.
Thank you, Ruben. Martin Luther King had a dream, and we had a dream as well. In 2009, the Federal Communications Commission opened up a full power frequency for radio that is normally reserved for commercial radio. But this frequency was reserved for nonprofits. Now you might wonder why the Modesto Peace Life Center would like a radio station. And there were several reasons. One was it was an opportunity for our organization to spread our vision of nonviolence and sustainable environmental ideas to a broader audience. Another reason was we wanted to start a community radio station. We wanted a station to be the voice of the community. Our tower is located west of Patterson in the foothills on a ranch. Given the full range of our transmission, we would cover from up to Stockton, east to Twain Harte and beyond, south to Merced. and west to the edge of Tracy. In 2017, we formed a committee with Sandy Graham, who had extensive radio experience, Jocelyn Cooper, a member of the Modesto Peace Life Center and our president, Sue Bauer, a local therapist, and Mark Pegasus Cologne. The four of us got together and created a substructure for this station. In July of 2019, we went to full power 24-hour transmission using microwave. We now have a community station, and it is volunteer driven. Our goal is to find volunteers who create their own programs of importance to our local area. In order to maintain our community station, the voice of the valley for you, we need your support. If you go to our website, kcbpradio.org, you will find a donate button, and we can always use some funds.
So Amanda Gorman is amazing. She read the inaugural poem, and she did poetry proud. To have a young Black woman read a poem, really a poem perfect for this time and this place and full of hope and life and the future, just made my heart sing.
When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? The loss we carry, a sea we must wade. We've braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace. In the norms and notions of what just isn't always just is. And yet the dawn is hours before we knew it. Somehow we do it. Somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. We, the successors of a country and a time where a skinny Black girl descended from slaves and raised by a single mother can dream of becoming president, only to find herself reciting for one.
Now we'll hear from the late George Pettygrove telling us about Michael, and then we'll hear from Michael mom, Odessa Johnson.
And Michael is just our name, MICL, Modesto Institute for Continued Learning, MICL. Nobody gets paid anything. Many of our members will teach a class or lead a class. Odessa Johnson was, we went to her when we knew we needed a connection with a junior college or something, and she grasped the idea very quickly, and I just love her. She's a wonderful person. She was so supportive.
Michael is the most wonderful addition to the junior college than in history, I do believe. Because of George Pettygrove, we have Michael. He and his wife worked very hard to start the groundwork for this, and then they were looking for a home, a place to land for Michael. And we came back from that meeting with somewhat of George's idea, and I had an idea as to how I could use Michael as an adjunct to the programs in community ed. So I started a framework whereby they would get parking privileges, and they would get pay a fee of $40. You know, I think they still pay $40 after 40 years. I don't know. They don't know anything about economic development, but we kept the price low so that the average senior citizen or anyone could attend the Institute for Continued Learning. And it's wonderful to see them come to Michael 3-4 times a week and enjoy the lectures. A couple of years ago, I went to their 30th anniversary. I was so happy that I was still alive after 30 years, but they were still growing strong. We missed George, of course. He was gone. So was his wife. But the spirit of Michael was still there.
Now we'll hear from artist and publisher Linda Knoll talking about the bilingual magazine Start, Stanislaus County Art Magazine.
Thank you, Ruben.
So I've been teaching for almost 20 years now. After a career in graphic design, my first teaching job was as a library media teacher here in Modesto, and there are many kids who don't have any access to the arts, any exposure to that, or books, or ways to experience the arts at home. So over the last number of years, I've been my mission, my goal has been to try to get as many things arts related and books related into classroom. My work lately has been through CCAA and the Mislin Gallery, and organizing a program there that is called Class. And what we do is we have a team of teaching artists who collaborate to provide lessons, art lessons in the classrooms, in elementary school classrooms throughout the county. So when everything closed down last year, we decided to run a Kickstarter program to help with funding the initial rollout of it, which was successful. We're going on to our third issue now, which is a lot of activities and hands-on. We decided in our community it needed to be bilingual, so it's both in English and Spanish.
One of the good things about a retrospective is that we get to relive moments. We are now again going to hear Miles Lima performing Glory from the 2019 commemoration. And now Wes Page will introduce us to another of our local unsung heroes. Wes?
Thank you, Reuben. As a member of the American Legion, I witnessed the many good things the Legion does to help and appreciate veterans. An individual who stands out as a classic unsung hero is my friend and neighbor, James Manor. To tell you about this unsung hero, representing American Legion Post 74, here is past commander Ben Williams.
My name is Ben Williams, and I am past commander for American Legion Post 74 here in Modesto, California. Let me tell you a little bit about James Manor. James joined our post in 1998, and he became our commander in 2006 and 2007. Shortly thereafter, he joined our kitchen crew, where he helped serve up some of the most delicious meals for our community, our veterans, and many of our local and statewide dignitaries. James also performs tirelessly at many other functions like our 4th of July and our Veterans Day parades every year. Come Memorial Day, you can count on James being out a week prior, preparing to put out over 1,000 flags and 1,000 crosses, honoring all of our men and women who served in the armed forces.
Now we'll hear from someone who's been involved in our community for a very long time, Habitat for Humanity's Anita Hellam.
We have been here in the county serving since 1989. And what I love, and one of the reasons that I'm still here at Habitat, is that we're focused on empowerment and on equity. And when you look at how people accumulate wealth, especially people in the lowest income earning categories, homeownership is really the key. And we, through a whole bunch of sweat and tears and volunteers, are able to offer homeownership to the same families that would be eligible for subsidized apartments or subsidized housing. And what happens is, in that moment, everything switches. About 81% of the families that we serve are people of color. They're folks that oftentimes are first generation homeowners. And because I've been here now for 18 years, I actually have been able to meet families and meet individuals who tell me that their children had the hope of going to college, or their children had an opportunity to earn and to gain something that they had never had the opportunity to gain. We're able to help sustain our local homeowners and people who are living in homes that are aging and that otherwise wouldn't be able to afford to do those repairs. And so while it's not a direct program, it does support our mission in the way that we're able to raise money to put directly into housing, but also because we're able to assist low-income homeowners that live and reside in the community.
For those of you involved in community work, you'll know the name Lang Power. For those who don't, let's get to meet her.
My name is Lang Power. I have been a member of the Modesto Peace Life Center for about 6 years. I became familiar with the center through their work on homelessness. In fact, I was part of the Homeless in Modesto documentary project, and that really started the work around alleviating poverty, looking at measures that we could take as an organization. And as I look at the work of Martin Luther King, a lot of it was around the economic injustice and as it intersects with civil rights, and we can still see roots of that today. So I think that's why the issue of homelessness is so critical. So if it's an ID, that's great. If it's car repair so that they can get to work stably, or if it's pet care so that they have peace of mind. If it's a train ticket to family members that they have in another state that's willing to accept them, they just have to get there. We've been able to assist many individuals.
Now we'll hear from Jocelyn Cooper, who wears a lot of hats, all of them in service to our community.
Hello, my name is Jocelyn Cooper, and I'm glad to be with you today. I want to let you know, first of all, that I'm very, very passionate about this community, Modesto, and the entire Stanislaus County, and therefore I've been very active in several different organizations. I'm most interested in education, of course, social justice, criminal justice, civil rights, and I work in those type of organizations in order to make positive impact on others and hopefully make them have a better quality of life. My first organization that I spend most of my time with is Modesto Peace Life Center, that's been around for 50 years and which has my values and shares my passion. I am the chair of the board, and Modesto Peace Life Center has since have a project that is their community radio station. I work there as a development director and program manager, and I am having a lot of fun working with a lot of people, trying to encourage to volunteer, to be programmers, underwriters, just fundraisers, events, whatever it takes to make this radio station successful. The other organization that I'm very passionate about is called West Modesto Community Collaborative, And Perfecto Mundo is the CEO for that organization, and I am also the chair of the West Modesto Community Collaborative.
Brandon Leake. Brandon Leake is a phenomenal poet who I've had a chance to work with. He has been to the Ill List Poetry Slam in Modesto, California, at the State Theater. He's been to the Chill List. He's been our sacrificial poet. And I remember one time in November of last year, I was at University of Pacific, and I was about to perform in front of 900 freshmen, and my co-host and poet friend couldn't be there. I called Brandon. He showed up on his skateboard and spit poems in front of 900 people, and none of us knew at that moment that we were looking at the America's Got Talent grand prize winner. We had no idea. America's Got Talent is a show where people are swallowing swords and dancing and singing, and Brandon is different because he doesn't move with his body, but the words that he uses moves people. And he's been called to move people. He moves people with the power of his words. He came at the right time. This is a time where we need to listen to each other more now than ever. And poetry and spoken word is one heck of a great way to do that.
When I'm up here on stage, they call me Brandon. When I'm with my homies, they call me B, and when I'm with the ladies, let's just say they call me Taken because I'm already happily spoken for. But when I'm back at home, my mama, she called me Pookie. And though I'm not afraid to admit it, my mother calls me Pookie at like the most inopportune moments. For instance, today, on my way here to America's Got Talent, my mom screamed out the front door, "Make sure that you call me when you get there." Pookie. And like, I get why my mother says it out of courtesy, but to be real, I don't understand why my mom's so concerned with my safety, praying for me as I leave the house on a daily, because I'm just a young man who has faith in Jesus. The same way that stars have faith that space will protect them from this galactic bully we call gravity, who longs to turn their stardust splendid spectacle for passerbyers to watch in awe of its depth. So yes, I never really understood the issue. And then I went on Facebook, and I realized that my mama loved me the same way every mother loved their son, fearfully. Because normally, death don't really bother me. I mean, I'm from Southside Stockton. I'm all too familiar with how some family reunions only ever take place on graveyard grass, and how a hole can be a safe haven for a soul in this mortal game of hide and go seek. But there is something so different about Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Jacob Blake, and the countless others. And as I stared at that screen, I couldn't help but think I was looking at a mirror image of myself being choked out for merely existing, or for daring to be more than 3/5 of what them folk thought them to be. Or maybe it was simply due to their hue, and in that moment I better understood my black mother's greatest fear was every time I leave her home, on the other side of my phone will no longer be her son, but be America's next most popular hashtag, accompanied by a video of her young star being gunned down by gravity as my stardust has turned splendid spectacle for passerbyers to watch in awe of my death. So yes, my mother's greatest fear is that I won't return home breathing, blood pulsing through these veins enough to still be her Pookie. And my mama warned me, "Son, don't you dare get caught at the wrong place at the wrong time with that wrong-colored skin, because those 3 strikes, they lead to pine box convictions, and I need you to return home my Pookie again." So dear Mom, I promise you this, I will do everything in my power to make it back home to you. But if I don't, just know you was the very last thing on my mind. And I will always, always be your Pookie.
Thank you so very, very much for that very warm welcome. I must admit I was looking backstage at the video presentation and got a little full. So please bear with me. It is so wonderful to be here with you this evening, to be a part of this very special time in the community, in the city of Modesto, this very special time in our country, indeed in the world. This is the 15th time of the 15th national holiday in commemoration of what would have been the 72nd birthday of my father. And from what I have heard, this is the 7th program here in Modesto, and I am following in a very fine tradition, and I would like to thank those who have worked so very hard to, first of all, develop this program. Mr. Tommy Muhammad, whom I met 20 years ago, as well as the very able committee, the Martin Luther King Committee here in Modesto that's worked so hard, along with the Modesto Junior College. Thank you so much for your involvement and your continuing commitment to achieve the dream. Lift up your eyes upon this day breaking for you. Give birth again to the dream. Lift up your hearts. Each new hour holds new chances for a new opportunity. Do not be wedded forever to fear. The horizon leans forward, offering you space to place new steps of change here on the pulse of this fine day.
Tonight, Modesto Junior College is honored to begin this historic evening with the presentation of two of Maya Angelou's poems personally selected by Dr. Angelou herself, performed by the MJC Dance Ensemble under the direction of Lori Burney. Young sailor, you are betrayed and do not know the dance of death. Dandy warrior, swaying to Rick James on your stereo, you do not hear the bleat of triumphant war. Its roar is not in your ears, filled with Stevie Wonder. Show me how to do like you. Show me how to do it. You will be surprised that trees grunt when torn from their root sockets to fandango into dust. And exploding bombs force a lively Lindy on grasses and frail bodies. Go galloping on, bopping in the airport, young sailor. Your body, virgin, still has not swung the bloody buck and wing. Manhood is a newly delivered message. Your eyes, rampant as an open city, have not yet seen life steal from limbs, outstretched and trembling like the arms of dancers and dying swans.
When it looked like the sun wasn't gonna shine anymore, God put a rainbow
in the clouds. Now that song is a 19th century, it was a 19th century gospel song, spiritual song. And of course it was inspired by a line in Genesis. It seems that rain had persisted so unrelentingly that people thought it would never cease. And so God, deciding to put the people at ease, put a rainbow in the sky. That's in Genesis. However, in the 19th century, some African American lyricist, a poet, maybe a woman, I'm not sure, but now leave that alone. Anyway, said God put the rainbow in the clouds. Now, what that means, I mean, we know that suns and moons and stars and novae and comets are always in the firmament. But clouds can so lower and lower that the viewer cannot see the illumination. But if the brightness was in the clouds themselves, that means that at the worst of times, in the meanest, most threatening, most frightening times, there's a possibility of seeing hope. Hope. So, what we need, I think, what we always need, and maybe most particularly, most acutely, in these days, we need to see rainbows in our clouds. We need to see ourselves as rainbows in the clouds. Yes. And I see the Modesto Junior College as a rainbow in the clouds. That's what it is. That's what it has been. That's what it means to be. And that's what it will be. To bring hope, a possibility of being better, being stronger, being more prepared, being more useful, being more a part of correction, of improvement, of betterment. That's what a rainbow in the clouds does and means to be.
Maya Angelou spoke to us about MJC being a rainbow in the clouds. Well, we have such shining lights in our own community. Here to present the MLK Legacy Award is Monica Shortner.
The Martin Luther King Jr. Legacy Award recognizes and affirms those who have made significant and tangible contributions in the areas of race relations, social justice, and human rights. This award is presented annually to an outstanding organization or individual. This year's recipient is Wendy Bird, President of the NAACP, National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Wendy and I have known one another for 18 years. We worked together at Modesto Junior College for 8 of those years. She was the Director of Student Development and Campus Life and set the tone for an unusually supportive, progressive, and innovative place to work. I remember my first day working at the college. While walking into Wendy's office, she was wearing this beautiful, bright yellow and black traditional African outfit with headdress. She shared a big smile and extended her welcoming arms to offer a genuine hug. I knew then that we met one another, not by chance. It was divine providence. She was focused on first connecting with the heart and used her energy to lead by example in a strong, graceful, humble, and authentic way. Her primary concern was simple. It was to seek out opportunities to help others in need while in the workplace and in the community, Wendy was adept at reading the needs of diverse groups and individuals. Her professional and positive communication style prompted me to feel valued and respected. Whether she was facilitating a committee meeting, teaching a course, or engaged in a dialogue, she was consistently respectful, fair, and understanding. As a child, Wendy was taught to be spiritually grounded. All of the times her parents forced her to go to church and be in Christmas and Easter plays helped her to build her character and faith. Wendy sees herself as an instrument to be used and that she simply does what she is supposed to do in being her brother's keeper. Thank you, Wendy, for sharing your support, your insight, your courage, your kindness, and zest for life. I love you, Wendy.
Thank you, Monica, for those kind words, and I love you too. You brought back a lot of memories in talking about MJC, and you know me very well, so I think that it's very special to have you be the presenter of this award. Thank you to the MLK Committee. I participated in the committee for years, watching others receive this award, but my goodness, it looks so beautiful from this angle. I could never have imagined the impact of how it makes me feel. I humbly accept this award in recognition you're giving me in honor of the civil rights work that I've done in the entire 22 years of living in Stannis County. I want to accept it by sharing it with others in the community, other freedom fighters who may not carry particular titles, other family members, other neighborhood watch members. It doesn't matter because you don't have to have a title to be involved in civil rights and to stand up for what Dr. Martin Luther King stood for. The same issues that Dr. King fought for in the 60s are the same issues that we're actually still fighting for in 2021. And so in order to create a higher functioning society for everyone, jobs, fair wages, voting rights, freedom and justice for all, I want to continue to encourage and ask for everyone to join me in accepting this award by continuing to do what you can in your individual spaces or places to promote equity and justice for all. Thank you to the MLK Committee, and especially thank you to Wes Page for using his skills to paint the picture of what the MLK programs have been like for the past 17, 18 years. Thank you very much.
Congratulations to MLK Legacy Award winner Wendy Byrd on a well-deserved award. As we come to the end, we thank you for joining us as we looked back on some of our great speakers and met local heroes who are making our community a better place. Thank you to our hosts, the Modesto Junior College, and to the MLK Committee for continuing this tradition even during a pandemic. Special thanks to Wes Page for the video production. We hope you felt the spirit of Dr. King even in this virtual format. As we close, we ask you to ask yourself how you make a difference in our community. How do you live the spirit of Dr. King? Thank you. Hopefully we'll be back in person in 2022. Be safe.